Welcome to The Perfect Workout, where we bring you expert exercise advice, practical workout tips, and inspiring stories from the world of fitness and wellness. I'm Jordan Thompson, and I'm joined by Jim Keene, the world's leading expert in adaptive resistance technology. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest shams and misconceptions in the fitness industry, spot reduction. The very first thing that comes to my mind when I hear spot reduction is when people want to slim down their waist, so they end up doing a million crunches. And I can't tell you how many times I've personally worked with people in the studios, and all they want to do is work on abs because they want to slim down their waistline. So, Jim, can you just take it away from here and explain exactly what spot reduction is and why it's actually not a thing?
So spot reduction is an old wives' tale that held in the dark ages of the fitness and health industry that said, if you do work for the muscles in some part of the body, you can reduce the amount of fat in that part of the body. If you want, if a client says, can you do anything to get rid of this underarm fat that I have? And you just have them do a bunch of triceps work for the back of their arms. Or like you said, I need to slim down my waist, so I'm going to do a bunch of sit-ups. I'm going to exercise the muscles underneath that fat and to affect that fat, right? You get the idea. So it's based on a misconception. Misunderstanding of how we gain fat and how we lose fat. And it's in a first on, last off, last on, first off sort of mechanism. So that's why you notice that there are places on your body as you gain weight and lose weight. You'll notice that I always gain weight here first, and then here, and then if I really get fat, here. Mm-hmm. And then when I lose weight here first, and then here, and then the last thing to go is here. So with women, a lot of times, it's always on my hips. It just goes to my hips and thighs, and that's the last thing to go. And then for guys, a lot of times it's their belly, and it's like their low back fat. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of mechanisms that control this process. But the idea that you can voluntarily exercise the muscles underneath the fat in order to try to fool Mother Nature and burn fat in just this part of the body is a fallacy. It turns out it doesn't work. So when you lose weight, when you lose fat from everywhere. And when you gain fat, you kind of gain fat a little bit of everywhere. And so you can't do just one part at a time. So my answer is the same to the person who says, well, how do I lose my belly fat? Oh, you have to lose fat. You have to have a lifestyle that provokes the loss of fat and the burning of fat. Okay. What about the back of my underarm? How do I lose that fat? Well, you have to lose fat, just in general. You have to do a lifestyle that provokes loss of fat, and so forth for any part of the body. So spot reduction is sort of a myth, and people get confused also because there's something called spot production. Spot production refers to the muscle. So if I just do bicep curls and nothing else, I'm going to enlarge just my biceps. I'm not going to gain muscle everywhere. So spot production, people confuse the two. If I only you've seen the guys who skip leg day? And they have just the stick legs. So that's spot production. You can preferentially develop muscle in different parts of the body based on your voluntary training. That is true. We've all seen, the guys who skip leg day or the women who only do lower body. We've all seen what can be done with spot production. Fat loss is different. You can't do spot reduction. And so, unfortunately, you just got to lose fat in general if you want to lose fat in the particular place that you're concerned with.
Okay, so let's talk about losing fat. What's the science behind fat loss? How does it actually work? Let's say I did want to slim my waist, what are the things that need to happen in order for me to lose fat and maybe even see some visible results in that area of my body?
Gotcha. Well, I like the way you phrase that. How do I lose fat? A lot of people are concerned with weight loss, and all they ever do is stand on the scale, and that's the only way they measure progress. The problem with that is when you lose muscle at the same time, you lose your future ability to have a high metabolism and a solid body composition. And make no mistake, we're not wanting to lose weight and look worse in the process. We want to lose fat and have our body composition improve. So a lot of that is hormonally mediated, and there's so many things we can do to alter the hormones. There is a school of thought that says, well, just eat less and move more. And that is the advice that's been given for 3, 4, or 5 generations now as we all got fatter as a population. So it's not that it's wrong. It's that it's not the whole story. Telling someone, well, you're fat because you've eaten too much and you haven't moved enough, that's a little bit like me going to an unhoused individual and saying, well, the reason you don't have a home is because you spend more than you earn. Okay, I've solved your problem. Good. Lots of luck. It doesn't. Yes, that's true, but that doesn't help me. That doesn't help me move forward. So why did I eat so much? Why did I become sedentary? So there's upstream things. And so it all starts, in my opinion, with your sleep and your lifestyle. So a low stress lifestyle where you get plenty of sleep, that's going to prepare your body and to prepare your mind and prepare your nervous system and hormonal regulation systems for implementation of the diet that you want to do. So many different types of diets can work, so long as they allow your body to release more energy than you take in. And if you do it right, it doesn't take all that much willpower. And there are certain foods that can help regulate these. And in general, whole, unprocessed foods, and the longer track record they have in human history, probably the better. And there's always more study being done, but some things are sort of unequivocal. Sleep is really good to control your appetite. And your food choice, if you choose whole, unprocessed foods, plants and animals, and whatever you like out of that smorgasbord, you will get full when you're supposed to get full. You'll get hungry when you're supposed to get hungry. And if you can regulate these processes and include strength training so that you don't lose muscle along the way, that's the optimal way to improve your body composition. And so we've gone from losing weight, which is the worst way to think about it, to losing fat, which is a much better way to think about it. And finally, I don't want to lose weight or lose fat. If you can think about it as I want to improve my body composition. Over time, you'll gain muscle and you'll lose fat. Your body fat percentage will go down and you'll start fitting better in your clothes. You'll start looking better, feeling better. You'll get the results that you actually want once you can finally stop just focusing on the number on the scale. That'll go down, but that's a downstream effect. Don't worry about that. You'll notice that in retrospect, like how you notice the day has become night. Oh, it got dark. But there's no moment when you notice it. You just notice it in retrospect. So get your sleep, eat real food, de-stress your life. And we all know, people watching this, you know exactly the 2 or 3 things in your life that are stressing you out, whatever their name is or whatever business that is who you work with. As much as you can, minimize that stress. And then finally, do regular, consistent, intense, brief, and infrequent strength training to stimulate the muscles to help with the hormonal regulation that you're already working on with the rest of those lifestyle factors. So those are the things I would say are important for that purpose.
Okay, so just to recap, if you want to, let's say, get bigger or more muscular in one area, you actually can do that by doing what you said, spot production. But
right.
If you're looking to slim down in one particular area, like losing fat in your waistline, or like you said, slimming down like the bingo wings, that is not something that you do by targeting one specific area. You have to look at it a little bit more holistically and lose overall body fat by you're making changes to your lifestyle, your stress, sleep, nutrition, and then of course adding in strength training. Did I get all of that?
You passed the test. It sounds like someone was listening.
Okay, so all of that sounds pretty simple and relatively easy to conceptualize, but I just know there's still, unfortunately, a ton of fitness coaches and influencers and programs and things out there that will lead people astray. So what are some red flags that people could look for when, maybe looking at a fitness program or a coach that might be alluding to the idea of like, hey, I'll be able to, slim down your waist in 2 weeks, or almost using that spot reduction kind of appeal?
There's an old saying that it's impossible to get somebody to understand something if their paycheck depends on them not understanding it. And so if I'm selling fitness courses and if I'm selling health and wellness courses, it can be too boring to just do the same thing over and over again. I have to add novelty, not because it's productive, but because the people who are buying my products, they've already done my program that I designed. I need to come up with something new. So as you spend time in the industry and watching different things, you'll start to notice patterns. If someone is recommending a very different thing, 6 months later, and then the next 6 months, they're recommending a very different thing, just understand that we're always learning more. There's always more to be studied and more to be understood, but not every 6 months. We have some things that are the fundamental building blocks of what we're doing. So that's a big red flag. If you notice someone who's sort of flip-flopping and waffling and doing this, then doing that. So that would be a big red flag. Also, a big red flag would be certain buzzwords. And it goes, when you get this much gray in your beard, you've kind of seen a couple cycles of this where you, I just want to tone. This program is for toning. And then this program, muscle can develop or it can not. It can get bigger or smaller. You can't really tone. What you might call tone is just you lose body fat and you develop the muscle and you have more definition. You could see the muscle. And so I guess you could call that toning, but there's all these, and instead of, it was your abs, instead of your abdominals, and it was your core. It's not just your abs, it's your core. This one's different. It's core. And it's constant. It's constant, right? Or the influencer generation of the last 5, 6, 7 years, where some random workout that someone will be doing on a TikTok or on an Instagram video where, I should do that now. I should do that. That's the routine, but they need to produce content all the time. So they'll have you doing a bunch of different routines, and you'll be the master of none, the jack of all trades. And so if you keep going from different routine to different routine, it's counterproductive. You're going to get nowhere. And so the advice that you should be taking is advice about first principles, about fundamental elements, not only of your diet, but of your training as well. Well, it's like the perfect workout training. It's like this, out of everything that's possible, this is what we focus in on as the best. And I think it was an old Winston Churchill quote. He says, "I'm a man of simple tastes, easily satisfied with the best." And so you might get questioned, how come you guys don't change up the protocol, change up the methodology? How come there's not a bunch of novelty and different equipment? Well, this is the best. So why would when you brush and floss, you don't try to come up with new novel ways to brush and floss. It's just, it's what you do. It's the best that we figured out. So if you see people going from workouts to workouts, from methodology to methodology, and they're not consistent, and you notice they're talking about details rather than fundamental elements, these are some of the red flags to look out for in the sea of different advice from people who look great. So maybe I'll just do what they're doing. But it's sort of the blind misleading the blind. And some of these people are looking like they look in spite of the way they train and eat rather than because of it.
Thank you for educating us once again, Jim. And thank you all for listening. For more tips on health and wellness, nutrition, exercise, and of course, strength training, be sure to subscribe by hitting that subscribe button and head to theperfectworkout.com.